Welcome back, everybody. We're having another episode tonight, the political one. Tonight with me, I've got the Shy Guy and Raging Cajun. Say
The
what's up,
shy
guys.
guy. First off, I'm not that shy, but if you want me to be, I will.
Fair. Rage Cage, what's up?
Well, not a whole lot. Just raging against the machine.
Yeah.
Relaxing.
Great band.
So one of the little things we wanted to get into tonight has to do with healthcare. Let's stay here in America for now. So let's talk about the health system in America.
All right. Do you want to go first, Mr. Shy Guy?
Thank you. I can't figure it out. It is, it's a structured thing that, political. I don't know how to fix it. Do you? I mean, I'm going
glue
to
and
Canada.
duct tape. Glue and duct tape, baby.
No, glue and duct tape. Absolutely. Super glue.
Yeah.
Ass loose.
WD-40 where it needs.
WD-40. Yeah. No, it's definitely a complex issue just because you're dealing with so many individuals involved on, people from reaping the benefits of the healthcare system and those who, implement changes in it, or even those who are wealthy enough to have their own healthcare. I'm sure it affects to some degree.
I think that a lot of aspects of our healthcare system in America are flawed.
Absolutely. Yes.
I think that has a lot to do with, for-profit, institutions that rely on, of course, profit in
Absolutely. Yes.
order to make, life harder on all of us. I'm sorry, guys. I'm starting real slow on this one, but
no, you're good. You're good.
Well, here's something. Raging Cajun. I don't know if you saw the Mr. Beast video where he helped like 1,000 people with the cataract surgery, right? So it's gotten a lot of controversy. Simply because I think the surgery low end is like $2,500, and it only took him like 10 minutes, 10-15 minutes to actually perform the surgery.
Yeah.
So that's definitely interesting. The reason it's controversial is they're saying that he's making profit off of these people, I guess, by buying them surgeries, and it should be the government's responsibility. So, what's your take on that? Like on something like that?
So, that just kind of is a little bit of a feel-good story. I would need to get the whole details of it because honestly, I've just heard the name Mr. Beast. I don't know anything about it, but it is like I'm the type of guy who would want a system, a government that helps its people. The real by the people for the people type of thing. And a lot of other countries do it. We'll save that for later. But, people deserve to live. People deserve to be taken care of. We want a society that's educated. We want a society that's aware, and we want a society that's healthy. And, health, like when people are doing good around us, we do good. And we're not always so worried about things like getting sick, like going into debt, all these different things that a for-profit healthcare system does nothing about. As a matter of fact, I would say that it inflames these issues we have in society, and it doesn't help society. I don't think that there's really many aspects to take advantage of in a for-profit healthcare system, other than those who, of course, are taking advantage of the system itself. You know, who own the hospitals, who are investing in this stuff, the companies who are selling drugs for 300% their price. You know, and I
Insulin,
think,
baby.
yeah, yeah, and I think that that deserves a lot of change. But
No,
one person doing something good, I guess. I don't know, something for 1,000 people is still just 1,000 people
mm,
in a country of millions and
hmm
a freaking world of billions. So that's just kind of where I stand on the whole feel good story. If he's making a profit off of it, then he's a shitbag, and he's profiting off of people's misfortunes, what people need, and he's as bad as the hospitals he's paying for the surgeries, or he's paying, yeah, as bad as the hospitals he's paying. Edit that part out.
no, I think you're right though. Honestly,
Yeah, I mean,
edit that part out though.
um, I mean, like, there's numerous ways we can improve it. There's numerous things we could do to make it better, to do to kind of douse the flames a little bit. But
Right.
unless we put out the fire at the source, it's never really going to be fully fixed, and it's always going to have issues.
So, what do you think the source is? Is it just that greed, the money, and
Well,
that?
I mean, um, yeah, it's definitely systemic. You know,
Mm,
I think that the ultimate source of it is the system where the economic system that we all live
mm,
on, which is
right.
cap.
Right.
And
Capitalism.
yeah, and so I mean, it does end there. And there's a number of little things that we could do to make it better for people, and capitalist countries, like social democratic countries, which are
Right.
which are still capitalist countries, you know,
That
by
would be like Sweden.
yeah, it'd be like the Nordic countries and
Right.
the European countries. We could do what they're doing, which is universal health care, where the government is covering the brunt of the cost. You know,
Mm,
it pays for most of the cost that the
right.
consumer would normally pay for in America. But I would take it a step further. This is my personal opinion now. I would take it a step further and nationalize. I would nationalize the pharmaceutical companies. I would nationalize, all these different factories that make all these different things.
Right.
And to me, that would eliminate, most of the problem that we have with healthcare.
Well, so one thing you see with the big pharmaceutical companies, um, especially like the people who make the EpiPens as well as insulin for the most part, they basically have it monopolized to where you can't.
It is
Yeah,
monopolized.
like
It is.
you basically have to get it from them. That's why that's another reason the price is so ridiculously high is because they could charge whatever they want for it.
Hmm.
When in reality, to manufacture it and make it is probably like
Minuscule.
I
Yeah.
don't know, like 90% lower than what they're charging. Like it's ridiculous. Um,
That's why you go to Canada for your pharmaceuticals.
there's people who go down to Mexico for surgeries, so
No, yeah, Darian, they do. They
Well, I
do.
mean, there was I can't remember if it was a story, but some lady, for the price of flying to Spain, getting breast implants and flying back was still cheaper than
then getting
um
them here.
yeah, getting them there for just the surgery. So I mean, there's that. If if that doesn't tell you, what's wrong with our healthcare system, I don't know what does.
Yeah, no,
Well,
like I
right.
said, I heard a story similar. Can't remember exactly what was wrong with the guy. I want to say it was like a tumor or something he had to get removed, but it was thousands cheaper for him to just go down to Mexico and do it. So that's
Mhm.
what he did. He just
Yeah,
I think he just drove
Mexico.
down. Yeah, he just got a passport and drove down and got a surgery and came back.
Well, and I think, there's been polls conducted and stuff that have said that the majority of America is for, universal healthcare or single payer healthcare or whatever you want to call it. And I think that it's now our our system, like our political system, that just denies it because they're in the back pockets of the pharmaceutical companies. They're in the back pockets of invest.
Yeah, yeah, you're right.
So, I mean, if we want to do something about it, I feel like it's not going to come peacefully. It's not going to come through our politicians. We're gonna,
Revolution, baby.
yeah, yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
That's what I'm talking about too.
So yeah, but I mean, the pros are really just nowhere to be found. I mean, you have all these like think tanks or these private corporations that pay off people to tell them,
Right.
oh, America has the best healthcare. We pay the most, so that must mean we have the best. When in all reality, that's
It's not. Yeah,
yeah, that's not the case.
it's
So,
not the case.
and I mean, that kind of ties into our next point, which is propaganda. And Darian, would you like to lead us off onto that?
Yeah. Well, let's get into propaganda. One thing that has been causing a lot of stirs, at least recently, is the balloons, right?
Oh yeah, China balloon.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure.
I'm
I know
pretty
there was
sure
at
it
least
was
one.
just.
I've heard two, but I've heard up
I
to like
think it.
six.
Hold up. I thought it was just the weather balloon, though.
So
No.
Well, yeah, it is. It is still just a balloon, but
It's a spy
it's the way.
balloon. That could.
Yeah, yes, it being perceived as a spy balloon, uh, basically is just somebody trying to spread propaganda.
Mm,
In a
okay,
sense,
so
one, it just doesn't make sense to use a balloon to spy. One, they're slow. It's big, like it's gigantic. I think it's like 3 buses tall, and you can
it is.
use a
Yeah,
satellite
three
in space
buses
and it'll
tall.
get the job done.
But the
So,
kids like it.
yeah,
Balloons.
yeah, they're doing it for the kids.
think about the children.
China, China, we're for the kids. Yeah. um, but yeah, I'm not 100% sure how many there were. Like I said, I know there's at least one. I heard something about two, but then I
I
heard
heard
something even crazier that was like upwards of like
five.
six, five, six,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, six.
Which
I
one,
go ahead.
like, if it's not, like if they're using it for just weather research and everything, I don't know kind of what the protocols is for, like, let's say when the U.S. releases a weather balloon. I don't know how you're supposed to exactly control it, or I don't,
Roswell aliens.
yeah, fair, fair, but yeah. So it's just kind of interesting how a weather balloon could start like this
Uh,
this
Headlines.
campaign of new new propaganda, with it being they're spy balloons. Oh well, there's this and this and this inside it. the Chinese are trying to do this, and then we shoot it down, and then China's they kind of took it a little worse than maybe it should have been, in my opinion, because they seem a little bit too upset over a balloon. But then again, tensions have always kind of been,
Tension?
up in the air.
Tension
Tensions,
up in
yeah,
there,
between
yeah.
the United States and China. So,
Okay, question real quick. Who's
yeah.
the best superpower and or government?
Like, um,
Um,
that entirely depends on what defines being the best means. Like,
no,
the
you're right.
like the most economic, like the best economic superpower,
All
um,
of it
all
in a
of it.
gamut. Yeah.
So I would say the best example of a military superpower would be the U.S. of A. U.S. of A. Baby. Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah.
Yeah, baby.
1770.
Simplify. Yeah.
Um, in terms of like economic superpower, I would say, uh,
China.
well, it's kind of up in the air. I mean, they have certain rankings or whatever. Currently, the United States is the biggest economic superpower, but China's closing in, and I think that even I think that the progression from China, from like backwards agrarian freaking
Mm, mm,
kingdom in World War II, just before World War II, to like freaking, you know, superpower in 2023, just in that time period. And I would argue this for pretty much any of like the socialist, most of the socialist experiments of the past century. But like it has progressed more than any freaking superpower or any power, and faster than any world power ever. It's gone from 0 to 100, and I mean, like,
like exponentially. Like,
Like
yeah,
real quick.
within
yeah.
100 years, it's freaking, it's gone crazy. Like they've turned it all the way around. Whereas it took the United States, you know, what the colony people started colonizing here in the
Well, like
1600s.
260 ish.
Yeah, like I think that it took the United States, even off the backs of like slave labor, even off the backs of exploitation, off of freaking Jim Crow laws, even off the backs of freaking third world exploitation, having all of our goods made in China, all that stuff. China still managed to beat them in the span of freaking 60, 70, 80 years. So I think that
Well, hang
China,
on. I got something to jump in and say. So I can kind of kick it back to propaganda because some of the stuff I've heard is that, I've heard they've had like camps in China, and they're also using uh, people from, I think it's Tibet, as slaves.
so
I don't
yeah,
have like a viable source with me right now. I mean, I could look stuff up, but just kind
well,
of based off of that, we can go into some talks on propaganda and what you think. So,
yeah. And I think that China is definitely has some um, socialist aspects to it, and they consider themselves communist, quote unquote. They have a communist party or whatever, but they do have elements of capitalism. They have strong elements of capitalism within the country. And some people on my side my side of the dotted line say that, oh, they're just doing it to develop their industry because, contrary to popular belief, us leftists don't think it just goes from capitalism to socialism. There's a transitionary state,
Thank you, KJ, for saying that.
Yeah, no problem. But I mean, well, we think that some leftists think that it goes from capitalism to freaking communism. And then some leftists thinks it goes capitalism, socialism, communism. And I guess I identify as one of those. And some think that it goes capitalism, state capitalism, socialism, and then communism. And I kind of don't agree with that, but it is a matter of where you are economically within your country. So I mean, I've yet to see, we all have yet to see the finished result of it, but I think that that's all we have to look forward to. And I would hope that they would go in the left direction, but you never know because billionaires and capitalists have a solid way of turning things on their heads.
I definitely think some people are born without morals, and they can definitely get up into some high-ranking positions. That's for sure.
Bill Gates,
Sure.
Jeff
I don't know.
Bezos,
Yeah.
Elon Musk.
Yeah, I mean, to me they're all bad, but like, yeah,
Let's make some money and try and be a, what is it called? A philanthropist or a full-on rapist?
I don't know about that one.
yeah.
No,
But no,
philanthropy's usually considered a pretty good thing, I would think. But
Yeah, but that's what they're under the veil or the guise of I'm doing philanthropy, but really what they're doing is just raping under their capitalistic, Oh, I'm getting in trouble here.
yeah, no, I mean, I can understand, like, we see a lot of this propaganda, but we have to take what propaganda we hear with a grain of salt because not only does our own government want us to believe the whole China bad narrative, but corporations and stuff want us to believe that too. Because, no matter what side you stand on the political spectrum or if China is socialist or not, China does have a huge regulatory system put in place. And that's something that like capitalists don't want. They never want any regulation and they try everything they can to, take it back to put true capitalism in motion. But maybe that's propaganda. I don't know.
yeah, man, you're just trying to live life, and there's just too many people saying too many different things, and you just got to try to piece it together.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I feel like maybe I went a little too deep, with the whole
Deep
idea.
talk after dark. Yeah. uh, no, I do think it is a good idea to sit and be cautious about probably any information you take in until you can come to your own judgment with source material and stuff that you have found that seems right for not only you but for people around you and the community.
I just want to point out, like, I, in a sense, like, I don't, I don't necessarily disagree that some of these things are happening within China. Like, I don't disagree that maybe there's human rights violations going on within China, or that China has problems of its own, because it does. It's like any other country, and especially a superpower. But I guess from an American standpoint, like as Americans, we don't have much room to talk.
No, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, we just did a whole thing on MK Ultra. Uh, I think there were a couple human right violations in there, maybe one or two.
Yeah,
Uh,
maybe just a couple.
yeah, just a couple, just a couple, dude. Yeah, we're all good. We're all good. Uh, no, one of the real problems is with that is just based off of history. Humans are violent, man.
Yeah, humans are assholes.
I
That's
I
that's right.
I couldn't agree more.
And unfortunately, uh, sometimes, I mean, there are good people, but sometimes it's the bad people
Bill
who
Gates,
who end up getting into positions of power.
Donald
Yeah,
Trump.
yeah,
Well, I mean, it's happened in probably every country at some point throughout history. I mean,
Pol
look at how
Pot.
many wars.
yes, Pol Pot.
Pol Pot, sure. Um,
That other guy. What was his name? Jesus Christ.
uh, oh no.
Just lost our whole audience.
Oh no. Um, no, Jesus seems to be a pretty good guy through
He was kind of
whatever
kind.
What?
on whatever religion like you're talking about. He's generally viewed in good light.
Yeah,
Yeah,
until you read the scriptures and then you find out what he was really like.
yeah. I mean, that's a good example of propaganda right there. You pick and choose, especially from religion. You can pick and choose parts of the book you want to read out. And I mean, us from the left, we've picked out.
Wait,
We
you're from the left?
Yeah.
Oh,
What?
wait. No, I thought he was in the center with me.
What? No.
Oh, never mind. I'm in the center.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of get what you're coming from, but yeah, I'm like, I'll just put it out there, people. I am about as left as you can get, you know, about. But anyways, where was I? People here on the left use propaganda, like we use parts of the Bible and stuff on purpose to kind of make fun of these conservative Christians that go out and pretend, they're following the Word of God, but in reality, they're not following the entire Word of God. And in reality, or Jesus, or whatever's going on. But in reality, they're just using it as an excuse to be bad people. And,
Yeah, it's
oh,
definitely something that goes probably probably hand in hand with the more wealthy people typically. Um, and also having somebody from, like let's say a Roman Catholic or something who's just really has a real big ego and he's really involved in his church and he's willing to talk down to people of other religions and stuff and because he says he's right.
You think it's really an ego thing, though?
To some extent, it would have to be. Like he he let the idea that his religion is right kind of consume him so much, so to where he's willing to go out of his way to,
Right.
put other people down in a different religion or who don't believe or, it happened a lot in England.
I mean,
King would change the country's religion might change. Who knows? You know.
Yeah, and I mean, people in power can definitely play off that. They can definitely play religion into their hands. You know, it's really hard to take a proper stance on religion because to me, you know, there's so many different views of each of those religions, and there's so many different religions, and it's just like to me, yeah, it's okay to have, you know, something to comfort you, but don't export your religions on people who don't want anything to do with it. Don't practice imperialism with your religion.
My religion is love.
Yeah, like I said, don't export that on me.
Let's see.
just
You know,
kidding.
Whatever, I love you.
Rage Cage. You might know a thing or two about what they call this baby, WW2, World War II, right? So we talked a little bit about some instances of propaganda nowadays, but one thing I know is how they used to spread propaganda back then was by people handing out newspapers, or even when the fighting was actually happening, they'd have planes fly over and drop flyers and stuff, and different things like that. But then again, you would probably know a little bit more about the intricacies of how both sides kind of spread their propaganda back then during the war.
So yeah, sure. You know, each side was kind of similar. You know, the United States. A famous example for the United States and the USSR would be like posters. You know, go contribute. You know, go win the fight. Join Uncle Sam's army, or you know, like win the People's War, win the Great Patriotic War, stuff like that.
Kill
And
the Nazis.
yeah, yeah. Examples from Nazis and stuff would be Hitler's speeches. You know, it would even be Hitler's rhetoric on the Jews, and you know some of the things that he said that inflamed the German population so much. And
Yeah, well, they were also in a very like desperate time too.
oh yeah,
Which was it just made him more vulnerable to kind of the way he was, because he was very eccentric. Like even just looking at the old videos of him doing his speeches, the dude looks like he just snorted like 3 pixie sticks. Like
He actually sounded like Dude 125, honestly.
okay,
this what?
Darian knows him.
Oh,
yeah, yeah, he's interesting guy, but yeah, no, he's just very sporadic, you know, like he's like obviously he was hopped up on drugs too, but he was waving his arms around like he was a helicopter like half the time, shouting like a mother who just lost
well,
her baby or something. He's out there screaming.
I mean, like that. You know, that could be one of the ways, right?
No, hold on, though. That's what's weird is how these people get in power. You look at these idiots like Hitler, which I'm saying he's an idiot, or Charles Manson, and how these people are able to manipulate a population into believing stupid shit.
Well, the way they manipulate these populations is to, you know, exploit their fears. It's to exploit their, again, material conditions. It's to blame the problems that they're having economically rather than blame it on the system. They blame it on individuals, which
Yeah.
we see a lot today.
Yep.
You know?
You point out the problem and you help find a solution, or you also find a cause for your problem.
Exactly. And
So it's my PlayStation then.
There, yeah, I mean, there you go.
Yep.
But
PlayStation was the cause
yeah,
of World War II.
definitely, definitely.
Like it's what, like okay, Rage Cage. Like
Yeah,
how well versed are you in World War II?
I mean, I won't call myself an expert, but I mean, I guess I'm okay. Uh, I've studied it a lot. Like I've always been interested in the history of it.
So why did the U.S. get involved then?
So the U.S. got involved for a number of reasons. One was because of Pearl Harbor, obviously, an attack that we didn't have anything to do with whatsoever, totally innocent. I'm being sarcastic here, but anyways, and then two, Germany after Pearl Harbor declared war on us. So it's not like we really had a choice of isolationism.
Yeah. Well, especially with the stuff Hitler was doing,
Well,
it
see,
painted us in a good light to stop it,
I,
but at the same time, you look at like Operation Paperclip, where they took a lot of the scientists and stuff who were Nazis, and both the
the ones we,
The
yeah,
Soviet Union took some, we took
right.
some, and
well, actually, the United
Oh,
States, contrary to popular belief, um, didn't know what was going on within concentration camps until later in the war. And they didn't listen. As the Soviets were pushing into Poland and stuff, back into Eastern Europe, um, and discovering these camps and trying to report them to the Western Allies, the Allies kind of dismissed them as just really bad prison camps, just really bad POW camps. When reality, until we got on to German soil, we had only heard rumors. It wasn't, really official that we found out Jewish people were being exterminated until very late in the war.
hmm, yeah. Now that you were saying that, I think I did watch some documentary, and I just didn't realize it was like this close to the end of the war that they found out. But you know, like in this scenario, we could have known sooner, but we hesitated to listen and hesitated to act. Um,
Well,
Something that has completely changed the way humans interact is through technology. So
yeah,
if you would imagine like security cameras like today, back then, uh, things probably would have been a little bit different. We would have believed them probably sooner. But at the same time, like in this scenario where it would be helpful, it could save lives. We're also faced with another issue, is with all the security cameras, or even like your desktop camera and your cell phone and stuff, right? So they obviously can be used for good, and it makes life easier through communication. Like I'm talking to you, even though we're not in the same room. And
TikTok.
uh, sure, TikTok, but more so like the actual hardware that allows uh, audio and video to be captured from something, especially where the government can easily and seamlessly tap into uh, cameras and gather data on us and stuff like that. And you guys probably know Edward Snowden, who kind of helped expose and bring a lot of this to light, where um, the government did kind of get caught red-handed spying on people, and not just the quote unquote terrorists and people of that could put us at risk, but just regular everyday people.
Well, yeah, yeah, Snowden really did shed a huge light on that, and that was, I think,
Kind of a hero.
yeah, yeah, he was kind of a hero in that aspect, and I think that surveillance is a double-edged sword, right? I mean, on one hand, you can catch terrorists before they commit acts of violence towards, A, B, or C. You have you have different certain, I guess, pros of state surveillance. You feel safer, I guess, if you're one of those people. But then you have things like them diving into your private pictures. They're diving into your conversations on the phone. They're trying to see what you're up to. And like with corporations, they're listening to what you're talking about and then showing you ads for it. Like, what the hell is that? So I mean,
Pfizer.
yeah. And so I mean, I think that state surveillance, to an extent, can can be good, but it really depends on what country, what state of affairs you're living in. And I think that even in that aspect, it should be very limited, and it should only be if the people want it. If it's a democratic thing and people want you to pay attention, then okay, you listen to the people, you take care of the people. But when
So,
that,
like a republic.
well, just like a democracy, really, like just straight up democracy. If people want, um, if people want something, if people want change, you know, even state surveillance can do some good for that. If you're listening and you're listening to the people and they want change, you can use it for evil and start suppressing people and hunting down people, which is the most likely aspect if you know you're a country that relies on that type of behavior, or B, make the changes that the people want. Listen to your people. You shouldn't have to listen secretively. They should just be able to tell you.
Right. That's like you've seen Gladiator, right? The movie.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, it is kind of like that. As a matter of fact, it's really like that. But I mean, just a little.
Are you
The
not
people have a
entertained?
little bit more power.
Yeah. No, I find it really interesting though, and it's just kind of spooky at the same time. Just to think that at any given moment maybe they could be or they're not, or and like you
No,
said, like it can serve purposes, but at the same time, like at least like let's say Facebook, for example, right on like or just like one of the messaging apps,
yeah,
and they're like scrolling through there. Like if somebody's gonna do some like real bad like terrorist crazy plot thing, if they were gonna do that, I feel like they would come up with some kind of like code words that they could make it sound like a regular conversation. You know what I mean?
well, right, and like
Love.
I I think that a big aspect of that would be community. You need to have a community that listens too. Not like parents listening through the window, or people on your
Right.
private.
Right.
I think that you should have a community that respects each other enough to know, hey, we have our own privacy, we have our own individual privacy, but we take care of each other. We're not going to try to bring each other down. We discuss things with each other, but
Well,
we're
I
not.
have an iPhone, so
But yeah, I mean, it really, it does come down to community, or at least that's a big aspect of it. is we need to have.
Okay, I'm already falling in love with you, KJ. Stop.
Yeah. No, I
No,
agree.
like
I
your
feel like
ideologies are like right there in line with mine.
Well, I'm glad and I appreciate it.
so.
Uh,
Yeah, I don't know. That's definitely a good point. Like a sense of community. Uh, the real issue is like making that go nationwide. Because if we could achieve that and we could reach
well,
some sort of, so we're
I
not fighting so much and there's not so much to always argue about. And
yeah, I mean, in America, in a country like America, it won't happen. I just can't see something like that happening, and I can't see surveillance being used for good either. I mean, look at the Patriot Act. Look at the NSA. They're probably listening to this podcast right now. They're probably going to have Homeland Security come knocking on my door because, you know.
Just my door, not yours.
But I mean, it's not going to happen here in the states. At least not without a fight, because we are too polarized, and we're
yeah, dude,
polarized.
we've got Hollywood who making billions of dollars, setting up movie stars, but at the same end, we also have a guy from Florida smoking bath salts and chasing people down the middle of the street.
Well, I
So
mean
we got it all here. We've got some work to do.
you know, definitely focus on the class war aspect other than the culture war aspect of things. You know, as a people, we're not. I think we can all agree that we're not so different. We all have our weird little quirks about us. We all live different lives, and we want to be able to practice certain individual freedoms. But I don't think we should be hateful to each other. That's not necessary. You know, and I don't think that there's ever going to be, you know, an all, insert one race here land. You know, there's there's never going to be that type of freedom. But I think that if you have your own individual freedom, that's what people are really looking for. You know, people are looking for the time to do stuff with their families. They're looking for not so many problems shown to them through media and all these different fights that tire us out and are meant to tire us out. You know, again, propaganda.
Keep us
And
distracted.
exactly, keep us locked in to the culture war. Keep us locked in to what's going on, what characters are in the latest game, and how it's racist or it's not racist. Like, I just don't care about video games. Sure, if it affects people as a class or it affects people systemically, yes, we gotta focus on it, even if it's a part of the culture war or not. But in reality, the end game is gonna be the class war, and that's regular people, people that we have the most in common with, freaking poor people, working class people against rich people because
That's why they
they're
call it the 1%.
yep, I mean,
Yep.
they're not gonna give up their stuff easily, and they're damn sure not gonna give it up to us because they feel like kings. So yeah,
Yeah. They just got to remember kings have armies, but do they? Do they really?
I mean,
So I'll say this before we head out. It's kind of funny because I believe Andrew Tate said this or something very similar. He said
mm,
if you see a white billionaire, like a group of white billionaires, and then a black billionaire go in, do you think they're going to be racist towards him at all? Right? He's like,
yeah,
no, they don't care what his race is. He's there
no,
they're all sitting there laughing at us.
Yeah.
They're all sitting there together,
That's true.
watching us be quote unquote racist and hateful towards each other while they're just making more money. So
I also kind of had a little quote that I found on one of the videos I was using to research these topics. But this is a quote by our dear friend Henry Kissinger, and he says, "America has no permanent friends or enemies, only interests." And I think that that's a very, very deep quote, and it explains a lot when you dive into it.
it really does, but at the same time, it kind of sounds like a teenage white boy.
Yeah.
So,
I'm sure.
I don't have any love interest. Like, I don't have girlfriends. I just have interests.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm sure a lot of teenage guys, or
That's
teenage-
what America is. Is just the f boy of the planet.
It really is.
Hang on, I gotta get the perm. Yeah. But anyway, yeah. Everybody out there, do a little thinking. Always take another glance at things before your final decision.
And stay wary.
Yeah, never stop thinking.
I'll tell you right now. I will tell you right now. You have more in common with a homeless person standing on the side of the street than you do with a billionaire sitting on top of the hill, man. So just think about that. Just recognize that, guys.